Hello and welcome to this week's video. There is a few things I'd like to discuss and to go through today. Let's start with Migaku. This week was an okay week for Migaku. I did it every day and I also did some mining to get some new words. But I'd like to spend some time going through how I personally do Migaku, as it's changed a bit. On the screen you can see an example of a card for Migaku. As you can see, there is a main word or kanji. That's the focus of the card. Then underneath you can see a sentence and the focus word is highlighted throughout the sentence. I base passing a card on 3 methods. 1, I have to read the sentence and know what the context is. 2, I have to read the word and know it. And 3, I need to know what the sentence means. So, for example, when I see a card, if I know the focus word, I'll pass the card straight away. Like, that's the simplest method. I know what the kanji is, no need. Method 2 is if I can read the sentence and I can base the context of the kanji, then I'll pass it. So if I can read a sentence and I'm like, I'm not 100% sure on what that kanji is, but I kind of think I know what it is. Obviously it has to match what it actually means or similar to what it means, but that's just another way. And then there's kind of an extra step to that where when I click on a card, it brings up the furigana. So if I can read the word and I can read it with the furigana and I can be like, oh, okay, I know what that means now. I just didn't know because I didn't know how it was pronounced. Then I'll pass the card as well. The final method is based on, if I can look in a sentence and I can be like, okay, I know what that sentence means in English, then I will pass the card. But I need to know most of it. So let's just... Well, and yeah, if I don't know any of the methods, if none of it works, if I look at the card and I'm completely stumped, then obviously I don't pass the card. So, let's go through a quick example. As you can see on the screen, there's a card, and the focus of the kanji is tatsu, and tatsu means to stand. And we can see the sentence underneath. So obviously I know tatsu means to stand, so I would pass the card straight away because I already know what the kanji is. But for example, let's say I didn't know, then I'd have to read the sentence. So the sentence, soko ni tate chichi wa hon no yomu. So I can read the sentence and I know certain things, like I know, like, so for example, I didn't know what, like, tatsute, right? I'm like, oh, okay, well that's the main kanji, but I'm not 100% sure. But then I know chichi and I know wa and I know hon. So I know it's something to do with my father and a book and yomu, reading the book. So I can probably, get around it's something about reading a book, but that first part of the sentence is just not there. So I know most of the sentence, but I don't know the full sentence. So if I look at the direct, like if I go from my translation of the sentence now, I think the sentence saying is something along the lines of, my father reads a book while standing, or my father reads while standing. The direct translation of the sentence is, standing there, my father reads a book. So I know the sentence in my mind. I'm like, okay, I know the context, I know what it's on about. But let's say I don't know that much. I could click on the card and maybe the furigana might help. So it's a very subjective way of doing it, but I think it works out well for me because I can read a sentence and be like, I know kind of what that is. I'm not 100% sure on what it is, but I can kind of get the gist of it, which is fine because you keep picking up more and more as you then begin to read more and more. So as you can see, that's how I personally do my flashcards. Next, I'd like to discuss a rundown of the week. The week was up and down. I've started time tracking less and less. I still track major things, like if I'm reading or doing Migaku, I will track it, but I spend a lot of time of like, maybe I have to do something or I'm cooking something, so I throw YouTube on in the background. But I'm not really, it's not focused study, so I don't count that. Or if I have 5 minutes spare, I scroll through TikTok and there's like Japanese TikToks, like I don't track that as a time spent because it's not really focused. I'm just watching it. And I don't really tend to track stuff unless I'm sat at my desk, like actually focusing on what I'm doing. So this week I haven't tracked that much. I think I did around 6 hours or so. Now, where are we in the out script? So, I'm going to run through the week as I normally do, back to a more normal format that I usually do. So Monday I just did Migaku. I played some Pokemon. I finished it. 10 out of 10 game. I wasn't excited for it, but I was excited for it. I wasn't 100% sold when I first seen the trailer, but after playing it, the game was amazing. I'm so happy with it. Even though my Japanese level is like really, really low, I really enjoyed playing it. I didn't get a lot of the story, but even just going through and finding some kanji that I knew and being able to read some of the sentences, even if I didn't understand them completely, was a huge improvement, and it motivated me so much to keep going. I would eventually like to maybe do a stream where I play in Japanese, but that would be a long time. But really, like, I know people say Pokemon games are good for learning Japanese, but it was just nice because I didn't really focus on it. Like, I didn't stop constantly and be like, oh, okay, well, I need to know what this is, I need to know what that is. I just kind of played, and if I could get a gist of it, I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it's Pokemon. You kind of know what you're doing, but it was just nice that I could, like, read the dialogue and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I kind of know what's going on here. I did at the start spend way more time. Like, if I seen a sentence, I would look up every word I didn't know, which was just a complete waste of time. Like, it really just wasted so much time that I could have just been playing and enjoying it, because I used it as a thing of like, maybe I study for a lot during the day, and I was like, this is my time to relax, but at least I'm still getting some input. Tuesday was then a busier day. I woke up and I watched some YouTube videos. They're all like book reviews. And then later during the day, I had mined those episodes for new words to add to a new study deck that I have that's just based on YouTube videos. And the rest of the day, I just did my Migaku, watch YouTube here and there. I have been watching, like, I have a set of anime that I watch when I want to watch something, but I don't want to focus too much on it. And I have a set of anime that I watch where it's like hyper focus. So I watch some sub anime, which is the more like, I can watch it casually, but you know, I'm hearing input, but I'm reading English. But I found something really interesting. I have found myself looking less at the subtitles, which is like really nice. So I'll be watching something, like I was eating, and I can't remember what I was watching, but whatever I was eating, and I'd look down to eat, so I wasn't reading the subtitles, but I would hear the words. I'm like, oh, okay, I know what's going on. No, I mean, it wasn't 100%. Like, I would say maybe 20%. But it was nice to know that, like, oh, that's like a really obscure word that, you know, I've seen a few times, but I know what it means. And like, it just gave that extra bump of motivation. Like, that was kind of like, oh, so what I'm doing is actually working. So hopefully that will continue. Wednesday was another interesting day. Just Migaku, really. I read a lot, though. I finished 8 Tadoku readers. And I read some Kuma 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 Bear, which was way harder than I expected. Like, I expected it to be hard, but it was so hard to read something that, like, was just a light novel rather than reading Tadoku. But we'll start with the Tadoku. I reached level 1. So, over the course of this week, I finished level 0 and got to level 1. And Wednesday was a big part of that, because finishing 8 Tadoku readers just really, like, solidified a good start to finish it off by the end of the week. And they're fun. They're easy to, you know, read. They're enjoyable. You don't need too much focus on them, but you still get something out of it. When it comes to Kuma, as I said, it was way harder than expected. I knew light novels were going to be hard, but this was way harder than expected. Like, I really had to sit down and focus. And after about maybe 30 to 40 minutes, like, I would start to get a headache. Like, so I did, like, I would read, I'd get a bit of a headache, so I'd have to stop, and then maybe I'd come back to it. And I also had to do a lot of lookups. Like, I know was it that I just wasn't used to reading, like, in the style of a light novel. So I would be reading something, and then I'd have to look it up, and be like, why did I look that up? I knew what that was. But I think it was just the, like, nervousness of reading it, maybe. Or, like, that, I know maybe I just thought this was such a big mountain to climb. So, it was hard. It will probably continue to be hard, but I'm going to try keep doing a bit every day. And eventually, like, maybe in, like, you know, because I only got about halfway through the first chapter. So maybe in a couple months' time, I would do a video where I read the first chapter, just to see where I've gotten to. Because I just want my reading to improve and my reading speed. Because when I read, I need to be able to hear the, like, sound in my head. I have to read the word itself. So it doesn't work very well when I'm trying to read and then I'm like, oh, I don't know what that word is. And then I've lost what came before the sentence, or like what happened in the previous sentence. That all just leaves then. I'm going to lump Thursday and Friday together because on both days were the same. I just did Migaku, watched some YouTube, and finished Tadoku. And I read some Kuma Kuma each day. These 2 days were quite boring. They were very boring days because it was just a very mundane task. For the future, I'm still working on getting a better routine fixed in place so I can be more efficient with learning, and trying to balance learning versus enjoyment. The biggest thing I've learned so far is I had a couple weeks where I added a load of Migaku's like pre-made decks into it, and so I was doing like 10 decks of like Japanese words a day, and that lasted for about a week before I was like, this is not sustainable, because each day was like 300 plus reviews. And I know eventually I'll probably get around there, but it wasn't sustainable because it was like 300 reviews and then like 150 new cards a day. So I got rid of all the extra pre-made decks, just keeping the original Academy one. And then I have, there's like a Fundamentals one that I just keep. So every so often, like, because I finished it, but every so often it comes up with like hiragana or katakana, so I can just refresh my memory, even though it doesn't really help anymore. But I know I like to have that still there as a surprise every so often. Then I have a slice of life deck that I made that I get, I make flashcards out of certain animes I watch. And then there's the YouTube slice of life deck, or not slice of life, but just the YouTube deck in general. So, yeah. The last couple weeks, like, the last couple months, so, yeah, the last 3 months have been probably the most day-on-day consistent study I've done in Japanese in the last, like, 4 years. And I can really see the difference it's making. Like, maybe not, like day on day I can see the difference, but like if I look back to where I was like 10 weeks ago, it is a massive difference with what I'm able to understand. And even like certain things, if I'm searching something, I'd search it in Japanese first to see can I make heads or tails of it, and it really helps so much. So I just want to say, like, just, you know, even if you're having like down, like slow days, you're feeling down about studying, not even Japanese in general, but just anything, just keep going. Like, I know it's hard to keep, like, to do, but like, just try do a really small thing, and then that's it. Even if you can just be like, oh, you know, I wasn't able to do all my reviews today, but I did one thing, and that, you know, that just keeps that going then. So the next day you wake up, it's a habit. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about this week. I'd like to thank you for following the journey and its ups and downs and my random length of videos, because I don't have a consistent length of video. And yeah, I'd like to ask, if possible, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you all next week. Ja, mata ne.